What's up, guys? My name is Timotheus, and this is
Rovonn Russell.
And we are the owners of EntrepreNerds, and we're starting our first podcast here. And the goal of this podcast is to encourage entrepreneurs, give you guys business tips, ways you can streamline your business, and something that we're proud about, what we're passionate about. So I don't know, for Rovonn, if you had something else you wanted to add.
Yeah, coming together. People that know us, they were like, duh, like us two coming together, me with, videography, marketing, Timo, business consulting, software implementation, kind of coming together and creating a whole suite of services and solutions for businesses. And here on our podcast, we just want to talk about the different things that, different insights and tips and things that businesses could use to help elevate their business, and for us a way to stay in touch with just our audience and talk whatever it may be, whether it's controversial things, whether it's tips, whatever it may be in the business world. That's what we'll be doing. So
Sounds good. I guess for people that don't know us, we'll just kind of give you guys a backstory of who we are and, just some of the journeys that we've gone on and walked through that we feel that would be able to encourage you guys on your business journey, on your entrepreneurial journey. So I don't know, if Rovonn, you want to start off? Your background and how you got started?
So I believe it was even the beginning of this year was the point that I hit a decade being an entrepreneur working in video production.
Okay.
Just throughout the years working with small businesses, helping them to curate content that would be engaging, that would help their audience, help tell their story to their audience, in different methods, whether it's simple social media content, whether it's commercials, event coverage to help promote for the next year, advertising, et cetera, et cetera. And then, maybe in the last 4 years since COVID, kind of looking into more the AI space with software and then also marketing, right? Because, whether it was the first half of my journey, I create a video, it's cool and everything, give it to the client, I'm on to the next one, realizing later down the road that if you don't give a proper strategy,
rollout, right?
Yeah, and rollout distribution methods, then they're just kind of putting on social media, basically going on a shelf and not knowing, right? And kind of taking that and saying, hey, let's create a strategy for the content we create so that we can market it properly to get the best return on investment of that project.
Yeah.
Just been kind of doing that for the last while.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to that in a sec, but my background, I started off my kind of career in business in I would say, I call it business management training. Worked for Home Depot for about 9 years, worked in customer service, worked my way up to supervisor and managerial role, learned about all the products, learned how to buy products. I was the inventory management was my early part of Home Depot was inventory management, ordering products at scale, for stores and things like that. Got into merchandising, learned data management, all of that kind of stuff. And I kind of self-taught myself a lot of the data management stuff and doing that. And then later transitioned to working at a church, my local church there, and doing people management there, where you have several thousand people, contacts in the system, and you got to upgrade, update the system, and realizing that the cleaner your data is, the better that it could be utilized for reports or different things like that over the years. So that's kind of my background there. Throughout the years, always had a heart for entrepreneurship and business. Started my first business, Stuff of Legends, it's going to be 8 years now.
Oh, nice.
And going about that journey and starting that business off from the ground up and the hurdles and the things I learned over the course of that time. So, I just realized at a certain point I got to put all this knowledge and all the things I have and put it together. And recently it's just been saying, hey, how do we put all of this together for other people and help them realize what they have? Because a lot of people have, I always put it as, you have the oil in your house, and how do you sell it? How do you utilize it? So kind of coming from that aspect. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I believe, and question actually.
Yeah.
When going through your business, did you see yourself whenever you got to a certain stage, and then maybe it's like, hey, you help them with their branding, their website, put some systems together, and now they're like, hey, we want to create content. Would you see them then you yourself giving them to someone else? And then for me also the same thing, where I would say, oh, websites, software, sorry, figure that out and then come to me after. And then, us coming together, that's exactly what we want to do to bridge that difference.
Yeah, I guess there's always gaps, like I've been building websites since I was like 12. Not even joking. That's literally what I was doing. I worked with HTML and CSS, self-taught myself with MySpace and all that kind of stuff, But then over the years, thankfully, tools have gotten easier, and I cemented myself as more of I'll call myself a web designer versus a web coder. But thankfully, there's different tools. But I always found like there's certain parts missing. You don't always know everything. So, I can create content. I'm good with, coming up with the content like logos and different things like that. But then the distribution of that content and and then sometimes your clients are just not willing to pay for more than what they can afford, which is understandable. Everybody's has a budget and all that. So, I think what we're trying to do now is just a more holistic approach.
And with entrepreneurs, it's funny when we're talking and, when we talk about things that we both know about, you get to a level where like, if anyone else is hearing in what you're saying, they're like, these guys are nerds. But it's like anyone that comes together with someone else that does what they do, like you're probably nerding out too. It could be mechanics. Yeah. Mechanics come together and they're talking about the new engine and the C5 whatever. If we're listening, we're like, what the heck? Like these guys are nerds, right? So no matter what you do, I feel like when you get with other people, you're nerding out, right? Yeah,
you're a nerd in that field. I always tell people like, sports people, you have the sports jock at school or whatever, and I was never really into sports, but you have the sports jock at school. They're a nerd about sports. Right. Who knows the stats of the batting average of someone? That's you're a nerd about stuff, So just realizing that, like you said, everyone's a nerd in their own sphere or their own sphere. There's own things that they're interested in, and that's where EntrepreNerds comes in. Where we want to talk about business and we want to nerd out about that. So I think our goal today, we want to nerd out about digital transformation and what that means for your business. Rovonn, what do you think about when someone says digital transformation? What does that mean to you?
I think that's taking, you kind of hear digital in it as well, kind of taking the what do you call it, old school methods of doing things, whether it's handling your invoices or paperwork, using, software to kind of handle things, all the way to automating things and streamlining things, and also building your presence online. We're at an age now where, it used to be like kind of more optional to have a website, where now, at least if you want to be taken seriously, I feel like if you don't have a presence online, it's very hard to market yourself. And even being taken serious, just because of how, someone hears about you, they're looking you up. Right. And if they don't see you online, see your social media, and you're kind of doing things, you may not have to be doing everything, but at least see something about you that's going to represent how they believe you're running your business. Yeah. So if you don't have anything out there, they're probably thinking, oh, they're probably not that serious, or they're not, it's a side thing or something like that. Right. So I think it's a representation of how your brand is and how much work you're putting in your business. Would you say the same?
Yeah, I think digital transformation is essential. And the reason why it's essential, and I'll say why it's essential, is like you said, nowadays, like they're almost saying like internet is a synonymous with having electricity. Like, everyone needs to have access to it, right? Or has access to it. I worked for senior homes and long-term care, and they actually say the average seniors are actually using smartphones and things like that, so, and that's not even millennials, that's Gen X, so the digital landscape has changed so much. I remember in the 90s, like if your business wasn't in Yellow Pages, are you even in business? That just was the thing, like if your business wasn't in the local news advertiser, like that's you didn't exist.
How are you being found? Yeah,
you know?
Right.
So, and I ask clients those questions, like, oh, do you have a Google business profile? What's that? Like, that's a basic thing you need nowadays, right? Or you're on Yelp or you're on whatever platform, because your customers are looking at that, and as Gen X, as Gen Z and Gen Alpha, as they're continuing to grow, they're finding businesses in different ways.
Right.
And if your business is not transforming and changing to match that, you're losing the younger client base.
Right.
And it depends on your business demographic. You may not be, if you're working on long-term care facilities or things like that, then maybe you're not necessarily, but actually no, because if you're a millennial, you're putting your not you're putting necessarily, but you're looking for options for your parents and different things like that. So if you're not on a website, even if it's long-term care, or something like that, then you're at a disadvantage, right?
Because a lot of times that may be whatever it may be for more maybe the older generation. It's the granddaughter or the grandson that is looking it up, like you said, right?
Exactly.
It's not like Grandma Stephanie's not going to be on Instagram, kind of scrolling around and then see an ad about some hearing aids or a home or something like that. It's going to be Becky that sees it and it's like, oh my gosh, it'll be great for grandma, right? And then kind of introduce that.
Yeah. And again, like the landscape has changed so much. Like my parents are now 65, and my mom knows more about smartphones than the average person. Like I don't just happen to know tech like my parents. Like my mom knows a lot about that. Even my dad, got into computers quite early. So, but yeah, like it has changed so much. So it is important. I guess we're just regurgitating this here at this point, but it is important to have that digital transformation.
If someone was to ask us right now, and it all depends on the stage.
Right.
If someone was to say, so what's the minimum that I can do right now to at least be competitive or be seen as at least I'm doing something in my business? Do I need to be on all platforms? How good does my website need to be?
Yeah.
Is it just a fact of the more you do, the better the outcome will be? What would you say is maybe even the minimum or recommendation for most businesses to digitize their business?
I think the trap that we fall into lately is saying that I have to be on all platforms. You don't have to. If your clients are not on X or they're not on Snapchat or they're not on LinkedIn, why are you putting your energy into that? Not to say that it's not beneficial, but you're putting energy into something that's not helping you right now. So like you're saying, if you're a small business and you're trying to figure out what is the bare minimum or what's the least amount of stuff that I can do, because like we're always talking about there's so many hats as an entrepreneur that you wear. What is the least amount of thing that I could do? I would say would be your Google business profile.
Right.
The reason why is anybody's looking you up on Google Maps, like especially if you're in North America here, you're looking up on Google Maps for that business. And we're all dictated by, we're 5 stars. If you don't have those reviews and next to your number, like, am I really going to you, right? And if you don't have reviews, it's probably best not to have any reviews. It's just have your profile. At least it's there, your address, whatever that's there. It's better to have no reviews shown there than to have poor reviews. Right. So it's better to say, I at least have my profile there, build up my reputation or whatever, have those good reviews, and then drive it that way. Because the problem is, and this is pure math, if you're already at 3 stars, how are you going to get up to 5 stars? It's really difficult to do that. So it's from the jump, try to have that 5-star rating from the jump versus trying to climb back from that. It's really hard. Anybody who goes to school and try to raise their average is going to find it difficult. So I would say bare minimum, your Google profile and your website. And you don't even have to have a ton on your website. I'm a type of guy that I judge people by their websites, but at least have a good, decent website that has the information that people need, and then and go from there.
Yeah. Well, I hear that, and I think, a lot of the time, it may be now. Let's take someone that say, "Hey, I have a website, I have this or that," but people don't know enough about me, or I'm only focusing on word of mouth, or if I have a brick and mortar, only people that are passing by my shop know about me. I think with marketing, people kind of forget about that. And whether it's using images on just organic marketing on social media, creating content, I feel like me, with video production, everything like that, content is king, and video will best, and I should say this, video in the simple level of just using your phone and being educational, showing what you're doing, that's enough. It doesn't have to be the big video production, things like that. That will help. But I think people need to normalize how much they're capturing online. And we all forget, right? We're doing our thing. Even myself, we're filming, I'm forgetting to get my own BTS, right? So at the same time, I know it's hard, but it's really simple to be able to create some consistency online with video. And I think, with entrepreneurs, we definitely want to help businesses tell their story.
Right.
I think back in the day, way back in the day where everyone gets together on the fire and kind of tell their story, etc. And the time that story circulates around the city or the town or the village may take 24 days, or nowadays it'll take 24 seconds.
Yeah.
So why not use that? Social media is a free platform. Like we forget that a lot, that a lot of these things that we could use to promote, to market is free.
Right.
Like back in the day, Yellow Pages, billboards, bus stop, like there's no way that you can not spend money and get out there. So I think we forget that sometimes just because it's more normalized, like Facebook, all the social media. Use it, it's free. Yeah,
like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and helping him with his business. And one of the things I realized when I was a kid, my dad wanted to start a dry cleaning business and he wanted to do a cleaning business. Right. But back then you had to buy flyers, and then the minimum was like 500 flyers. Right. And there was no Vistaprint. There was no, what's the other one, Momo or whatever it is, like there wasn't any of that. So he had to convince my mom just to create flyers. At the time was like $250, just to create flyers, and then you start to go on canvas, the streets and put them out. What's the old school way? You just put it on the cars and just put it on the windshields.
People still do it.
I know.
I'll be coming out of the mall and I just see a little thing there.
Crazy.
I'll look at it maybe for a sec. So it kind of works. I'll look at it for a sec. Like your design has to be on point for me just to just throw it away or whatever.
I don't know. I'm not an environmentalist per se, but I do care about the environment.
Right.
But I'm always like, man, these are just going off in the garbage somewhere, So there's so many like free tools.
Right.
But what I've also noticed with that is just the know-how, and this is where, us as a company wants to help people. Canva is free.
Right.
At least the base stuff, DaVinci Resolve is free. CapCut is free.
Right.
All these resources that are easy to help you make content or do whatever. But people don't necessarily have the know-how. So, I'll talk to a client and first 15 minutes, I'm like, hey, do you have your branding colors? Do you have your brand voice? Do you have all this stuff? What's all this? And they're doing all these janky edits. It's like Canva has the template. How are you messing up the template? But people, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so once you know the available options out there for you, you're better at doing that transformation.
Right. And I think there's a lot out there as well. Like I understand people being overwhelmed with the information that's out there of like, hey, you got to post at this time. Yeah. Hey, you got to have this hook on your social media video. You got to have this or that. I do want to say that if you're telling a good story, even without the methods and the tactics and everything like that, your story, if you just put it out there, it will find its way to the right audience, to the right listener over time. Whether we're talking about algorithm or just the genuine nature of what your story is, it'll eventually get there. So I would say to people, just start putting stuff out there. And I feel like when you're uncomfortable, like you should always be uncomfortable in business. You shouldn't, if you feel that you're comfortable, you're probably stagnant. You're not growing, right? I feel like it's a weird feeling of like pushing yourself to be uncomfortable doing something. For example, we're nerds, right? We'll be behind the camera, behind the screen, behind the computer, typing up things, doing things for people. And something like even this for us is a lot different, right?
Yeah.
Feeling uncomfortable coming in front of the camera. Like I never do this.
Yeah.
I never do this. And then even with me, like, say my weaknesses, I feel like one of my weaknesses is speech as well, right? So I feel like also with me, doing something like this is going to help me grow.
Yeah.
And if I grow, then I can help other businesses grow as well.
Right.
So yeah, I want to definitely just stress on just getting out there, doing the different things. You need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in education, push yourself. And yeah.
In the vein of digital transformation, one of the issues I see with businesses is not being able to, like, you have some businesses, they stick with the old invoice book, the old credit card slider. I talked with a client the other day, and I go like, hey, have you set up Stripe for your business? And she goes like, I don't want to do it because there's fees.
Right.
Okay, I understand you're making less money because of, the fees and different things like that, but you're making less money because you're not making the money that you would have made.
Right.
Having Stripe in place, having some payment gateway. One of my businesses, like I think it was almost 40% of our sales after we implemented credit card and debit sales, was extra 40% sales.
Wow.
For the next year. Wow. And we realized, okay, these are different ways to get sharpened. That's 40% of sales that we were left on the table because we didn't have the option there.
Right.
And the business was being at events. So you're taking advantage of the fact that someone is there to buy your product right then.
Right.
So to tell them, hey, go to our website, you're slowing down the process. Right.
You're
So
creating an exit,
right.
an exit lane off the highway.
Exactly. Right? And I think part of the digital transformation is how do I go from, hey, I'm trying to sell your product to making the money as soon as possible.
Right.
Because you want to take advantage, because we have so many things vying for our time nowadays, right? So whether it's, I'm picking up my kid from school, I have to make money, I have to cook, I have to do all these type of things. Right. For me, I was like, you do a work for me, and then you have to take 5 business days to get back to me with an invoice. Right? I'm going to forget about that. Right. And then by the time I remember, because I'm, upstanding citizen to pay you, I got to figure out, I have to e-transfer.
Right.
Okay. Now I got to go into my bank account and set you up as a payee. And then I got to, there's so many
steps. Yeah, that itself is like a drag. I'm like, I got to add, I got to copy and paste the name.
Yeah,
and
it's just like,
email,
there's too many
and if
steps.
they don't have auto deposit, I got to put a question and an answer.
It's just like, there's no auto deposit set up. There's no other stuff like that. Or you go to a person's website. Like for me, I was telling someone the other day, it's like, if I go to a website and I have to fill out a contact form and then wait for you to get back to me, I'm going to another business that already has it streamlined.
That's true.
So you're losing it. You may have a good product.
Right. But people will pay for convenience.
Yes.
Like Uber Eats and everything, they prove it. People will pay for convenience. So you have to make things easy, and streamlining everything is the best way to do that.
Yeah. Another part of digital transformation is having access to reports. There's a book called Finish by John Acuff, and he's saying the way that you can finish something or be able to finish your goals or complete your goals is by having data. And if you don't know how you're doing, how well you're doing, or how bad you're doing, because a lot of us want to avoid how bad we're doing. Right. Like I don't want to check my bank account because I know it's going to be minus whatever. I don't want to check it, but data is good, right? Data is good to let you know, hey, this is maybe where I'm at, but how do I change it? So if your business doesn't have any way of tracking any of your products,
are you improving?
Any of your sales, any of what you're achieving, and having different data markers for that, you don't know how well your business is doing, and you can't capitalize on what you're doing well,
right?
Because you don't have that reporting system. So one of the things that I encourage customers to have is have a good data management system, have a good CRM, have a good something that tracks how well you're doing, and have a good report system. Right. Not all software is created equal. We all know that. Having those reports are important, and if you don't have a software that's giving you the right reports. What's the age of demographic of your customers? How many sales you made last year versus this year? Right. How much you made last week versus this week? Right. Is A product selling better than B product? Having all this data for you is able to streamline your business even further. And so if you neglect having a good system or you're not transforming your business digitally, you're missing out on a whole bunch of information. And reason why we don't realize this is Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all these guys. The reason why they're free is because they're running off your data, right? And they know the importance and the value of data.
Right.
At Amazon, they know, like, if you check the cart, if you bought something, if you didn't buy something, whatever.
And they have all those for stats.
All of that is stats.
Right.
The average video game, I'm a gamer. Everything down to which weapon you use, how often you used it, how much time you used the health, how fast you move. All these things are data driven. Like the world we live in is all data driven. So if you're not focusing on your business and having access to your data, you're not going to be able to go to the next level.
Right.
So digital transformation that way is highly important.
That's good. That's good. Hey, and that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here. We want to help businesses digitally transform, create systems for them, help them with marketing, get them to a level to be able to start that from the base level foundation with website, proper branding, etc. So a lot of times you may think you have these things in place, but it's not working well enough. Like, is your website just a resume online, or is it able to, efficiently take contacts, have some kind of systems that will nurture those leads coming in, help you close those leads, properly schedule them in, make it easy and convenient for someone to come on your website and actually do something with it. That's what we're here to help for. That's what we're here to help. So
if you guys love what we're sharing here and it's valuable and important to you, be sure to check us out at EntrepreNerds Agency on Instagram, and we'll be on Spotify and a few other podcast things as well. So be sure to follow us there. And that's it for this time, but be sure to follow us for our next episode. Until next time.
Peace, guys.